The sequined fabric caught. Lily felt it happen, that sickening resistance as she tried to pull the zipper up her spine, the teeth snagging on the delicate emerald material bunched beneath. She twisted her arm further behind her back, fingers scrambling, but the zipper refused to budge either up or down. "No, no, please," she muttered, panic rising in her throat. Backstage at Seoul Fashion Week was controlled chaos, models flowing in and out of outfits like water, makeup artists attacking faces with brushes, designers making frantic last-second adjustments. Lily had done shows in Lagos and London, but nothing had prepared her for the military precision of Seoul's fashion machine. Everything moved fast, efficient, unforgiving of mistakes. And she was stuck. 3 minutes to line up. The stage manager's voice cut through the noise. The dress, designer Kim's showstopper piece, hugged every curve of Lily's body like it had been painted on. Emerald sequins caught the light with each breath, the structured bodice emphasizing her waist before the fabric flared over her hips. It was stunning. It was perfect. It was halfway zipped. "I need help," Lily called out, trying to keep the desperation from her voice. The zipper's stuck. A makeup artist glanced over, sympathy flashing across her face, but her hands were occupied with another model's face. "Wardrobe. Get Hyun-woo." Lily had seen the wardrobe stylist earlier during fittings, quiet, focused, with careful hands that treated each garment like precious art. She hadn't caught his name then, too focused on memorizing her walk sequence, on making sure her first major international booking didn't end in disaster. Footsteps approached quickly. "Hold still." The voice was calm, accented, male. Lily froze, arms still twisted awkwardly behind her, acutely aware that she was essentially trapped in a half-zipped dress that left much of her back exposed. Through the large mirror in front of her, she watched him step into view. Hyun-woo wore all black, fitted turtleneck, tailored slacks, dark hair pushed back from his forehead. A measuring tape draped around his neck, pins glinting on a cushion strapped to his wrist. His face was composed, professional, but his eyes, dark and intense, flickered with something else as they took in her predicament.
Before we continue, I want to say a big thank you to our 1,500 whisperers for your constant love and support. You're the reason this family keeps growing. And if this is your first time coming across our videos, welcome to the family. Please make sure you click the subscribe button now, because by the end of this story, you might get so carried away that you'll forget. Now, let's go back to the story.
"The fabric's caught in the teeth," he said quietly, moving behind her. "Don't move. If you pull, you'll tear it." Lily nodded, watching him in the mirror. Her heart hammered against her ribs, part panic about the dress, part something else entirely as he stepped closer. His fingers touched her bare shoulder blade, steadying her, and she felt the contact like an electric current. His hands were warm against her skin, gentle but sure as they examined where the fabric had snagged. "I'll have to get very close," he said, his voice lower now, almost intimate despite the chaos around them, "to see the problem properly." "Okay," she whispered. He moved closer. She could feel his breath on her exposed skin, feel the heat radiating from his body as he leaned in. One hand rested on her lower back to steady the fabric while the other carefully manipulated the zipper pull. The position forced him to stand nearly flush against her, his chest almost touching her back. In the mirror, their eyes met. The moment stretched, suspended. Lily saw her own face reflected back, amber skin flushed darker, full lips slightly parted, eyes wide. And behind her, Hyun-woo's reflection. Jaw tight with concentration, but his eyes had darkened with an awareness that had nothing to do with the stuck zipper. His gaze dropped, she watched it happen in the mirror, traveling down the exposed curve of her spine to where his hand rested on her lower back. The dress hugged her body like a second skin, and she saw him take in the dip of her waist, the flare of her hips, the way the emerald sequins caught light with each shallow breath she took. His fingers trembled slightly against her skin. "Sorry," he murmured, but he didn't move away. Instead, he leaned closer, ostensibly to see the zipper better, but Lily felt the movement as something more deliberate. More intentional. 2 minutes, someone shouted. The urgency broke through his concentration. His fingers worked faster, one hand still steady on her lower back while the other carefully eased the caught thread free. But the intimacy of the position remained, his body so close to hers that she could smell his cologne, something clean and understated, could feel the controlled tension in how carefully he was not touching her more than necessary. "Breathe in," he instructed, his voice rough. She inhaled deeply, and he used the shift of her body to manipulate the fabric free. The zipper suddenly gave way, sliding smoothly up her spine. His fingers followed its path, checking each tooth, ensuring the closure was secure. When he reached the top, his fingertips lingered at the nape of her neck, ostensibly fastening the hook and eye closure. But his touch lasted a heartbeat too long. Their eyes met again in the mirror. The awareness between them was palpable now, undeniable. Lily saw her own face flushed, saw the way his hand trembled slightly before he pulled away. "You're good," he said, stepping back quickly. His professional mask slipped back into place, but not before she saw the hunger flash across his face. "The gown is secure." "Thank you," Lily managed, her voice not quite steady. "I thought I'd ruined it." "Not ruined." He pulled a lint roller from his pocket, running it over her shoulders with practiced efficiency. But even that simple action felt charged, each stroke of the roller a barely acceptable excuse to touch her. Designer Kim uses delicate zippers for the aesthetic. They catch easily on fuller figures. Fuller figures. The words hung between them, and Lily saw his eyes flick down again, quick, involuntary, taking in her curves in the fitted dress. He caught himself immediately, jaw tightening as he forced his gaze back to his work. "You have beautiful lines," he said quietly, professionally. "The dress was made for a body like yours." Before Lily could respond, the stage manager's voice boomed, "Line up. Now. Move, move, move." Lily turned toward the curtain, but not before catching one last glimpse in the mirror. Hyun-woo standing motionless, watching her walk away. His eyes tracked the movement of the emerald gown against her body, the way it hugged and released with each step, the way the sequins created rivers of light over her curves. He looked like a man starving. The runway passed in a blur of lights and music, but Lily's mind stayed anchored to those moments before the mirror. The feel of his hands on her skin. The tremor in his fingers. The way his eyes had consumed her reflection like he was memorizing every detail. She had a boyfriend. David was back in Lagos, waiting for her return, planning their future together. They'd been together for 2 years, stable, comfortable, committed. But David had never looked at her the way Hyun-woo just had. When she returned backstage 20 minutes later, the atmosphere had shifted from chaos to celebration. Designer Kim was beaming, models were changing into street clothes, and the tension had dissolved into exhausted relief. Lily carefully hung the emerald gown on its designated rack, her fingers lingering on the zipper that had started everything. Her bag sat on the chair beside the vanity, the worn leather tote she'd brought from home, familiar and grounding. As she reached for it, a folded piece of paper fell out onto the floor. 22. Her name was written on the outside in neat, careful handwriting, Lily. She glanced around quickly. The backstage area was emptying, everyone eager to escape to after-parties or hotel rooms. Hyun-woo was across the space, methodically cataloguing gowns on a rack, his back to her. With slightly unsteady fingers, she unfolded the note. "You look beautiful. Can we be friends?" Below the words, a phone number and a simple signature. Hyun-woo. Lily's breath caught. The note was so earnest it made her chest ache, not presumptuous or demanding, just a careful request wrapped in politeness. But she understood the subtext. She'd felt it in the way his fingers had lingered on her skin, in the way his eyes had traced her reflection. This wasn't just about friendship. She looked up and found him watching her in the mirror, the same mirror where their eyes had met during the zipper incident. This time, he didn't look away. The question in his gaze was clear. Lily's phone buzzed in her bag. A text from David. "Hope the show went well, babe. Missing you." Guilt crashed over her like a wave. She had a boyfriend. A good man who loved her, who supported her career, who was waiting for her to come home. What was she doing, feeling this pull toward a stranger who'd touched her back for 2 minutes? But as she looked at Hyun-woo's reflection, at the careful hope in his eyes, she couldn't deny what she felt. She folded the note carefully and tucked it into her bag. Then, with her heart pounding, she pulled out her phone. This was dangerous. This was complicated. This was beginning. Lily stared at the note for 20 minutes in her hotel room, David's text still unanswered on her phone. You look beautiful. Can we be friends? 7 words and a phone number. It shouldn't feel this significant. People made friends all the time, especially in the fashion industry where you worked intimately with strangers and then scattered across the globe. Professional friendships were normal, expected even. But this didn't feel professional. She remembered the tremor in Hyun Woo's fingers. The way his eyes had darkened as they traveled down her spine. The careful control in how he'd stepped away, like it had cost him something. Her phone buzzed again. David, you there? How did it go? She should call him. Tell him about the show, about the stuck zipper, about the kind wardrobe stylist who'd saved the day. It would be normal, innocent. Boyfriends and girlfriends shared these stories. But she couldn't make herself pick up the phone. Instead, she found herself typing a number into her contacts, the one from Hyun Woo's note. Her thumb hovered over the keyboard. What would she even say? Before she could overthink it further, a message came through from that very number. This is Hyun Woo. I hope it's okay that I'm reaching out. I wanted to make sure you know the note wasn't meant to make you uncomfortable. The thoughtfulness of it made her decision. She typed back, this is Lily. The note didn't make me uncomfortable. But I should tell you something, I have a boyfriend. Back in Nigeria. She hit send before she could second-guess the honesty. 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared. Then reappeared. Finally, I understand. I still meant what I wrote. Just friends, if you're comfortable with that. Why do you want to be friends with me? This time his response came faster. Because in a room full of people treating you like a beautiful object, you treated everyone like human beings. Because you have kindness in your eyes. Because when our eyes met in that mirror, I saw someone I wanted to know. Not because of how you look, but because of who you seem to be. Lily read the message 3 times, her chest tight. When was the last time David had said something that saw past her surface? That acknowledged her as more than his beautiful girlfriend, the model he got to show off to friends. She typed carefully, I'd like to be friends too. But you should know, I felt something today. When you were helping with the zipper. I need to be honest about that, even though I'm with someone. I felt it too. But I respect your relationship. Coffee tomorrow. As friends. As friends, she confirmed, though the words felt incomplete. They arranged to meet at a cafe in Hongdae. After ending the conversation, Lily finally called David. There she is. His voice was warm, familiar. How's Seoul's newest supermodel? Exhausted, she said, and it wasn't a lie. The show was intense. But good. Really good. The designer loved me. There might be more work here. That's my girl. She could hear the pride in his voice, but also something else, a kind of ownership that suddenly grated. How much longer are you there? 2 weeks. 3 shows total. Good. I miss you. The bed's too empty. Lily closed her eyes, trying to summon the feeling she should have, longing, affection, the ache of missing him. Instead, she kept seeing dark eyes in a mirror, feeling phantom fingers on her spine. I miss you too, she said, and wondered if it was a lie. They talked for another 15 minutes, David updating her on work, on mutual friends, on the mundane details of Lagos life. It was comfortable, familiar, safe. Everything her attraction to Hyun Woo wasn't. When they finally hung up, Lily felt more confused than before. The cafe in Hongdae was young and vibrant, walls covered in street art, indie music playing softly. Hyun Woo was already there when she arrived, sitting by the window in a simple white button-down and jeans, looking less like a fashion professional and more like any other beautiful Korean man in his 20s. He stood when he saw her, and she noticed the nervousness in the gesture. Thank you for coming, he said as she sat down. Thank you for inviting me. Lily set her bag down, hyper-aware of every movement. And for being understanding. About David. Your boyfriend. Yes. They ordered an Americano for him, a caramel latte for her, and sat in slightly awkward silence until the drinks arrived. How long have you been together? Hyun-woo asked finally. 2 years. We met at university in Lagos. He's a civil engineer. Lily wrapped her hands around her cup. He's a good man. Supportive. Stable. My parents love him. But. She looked up sharply. I didn't say but. You didn't have to. His eyes were gentle, not judgmental. I can hear it in how you describe him. Like you're making a case for him rather than just loving him. The observation cut too close. I do love him. I believe you. Hyun-woo sipped his coffee. Love is complicated. I'm not here to question your relationship. Then what are you here for? He was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. Yesterday, when I was fixing that zipper, I felt something I haven't felt in a long time. Like I was exactly where I was supposed to be, even though the circumstances were stressful. And when our eyes met in the mirror, I saw that you felt it too. Lily's heart hammered. I did. But you have a boyfriend. Yes. And I respect that completely. He leaned forward slightly. I'm not asking you to betray him or to choose. I'm just asking for friendship. For coffee sometimes, for conversation. For the chance to know you as a person, not just as a model I dressed for a show. And if this friendship becomes more complicated? Lily asked quietly. What then? Then we deal with it honestly. Together. His eyes held hers. I've learned that fighting what you feel doesn't make it go away. It just makes you dishonest. So let's be honest, we're attracted to each other. We feel a connection. But we also adults who can make choices about how we act on those feelings. It was the most mature conversation Lily had ever had about attraction. David would have been jealous, possessive, would have demanded she cut contact. But Hyun-woo was offering something different. Trust in her judgment, respect for her autonomy. Okay, she said finally. Friends. Honest friends. His smile transformed his face. Tell me about Nigeria. I've never been. They talked for 2 hours, the conversation flowing easily once they'd established their boundaries. She told him about Lagos, the chaos and beauty of it, the traffic and the beaches, the food that made Seoul's spiciest dishes seem mild. He told her about Seoul, the neighborhood she should visit, the hidden gems tourists never found, the pressure and pride of working in Korea's competitive fashion industry. Do you love it? Lily asked. The work. Most days. I love the artistry, the problem solving. I love seeing someone transform when they put on the right garment. He paused. Yesterday, watching you in that emerald dress, you didn't just wear it. You understood it. You knew how to move to showcase the design without overshadowing it. That's rare. It's just walking. It's not. It's embodiment. It's making fabric come alive. His eyes held hers. You're talented, Lily. Not just beautiful, talented. The compliment settled warm in her chest, more meaningful than any of David's proud proclamations about dating a model. When they finally left the cafe, Seoul's evening rush had begun. People flooding from offices, neon signs flickering to life, the city transforming from day to night. Can I walk you back to your hotel? Hyun-woo asked. It's out of your way. I don't mind. They walked slowly through Hongdae's artistic streets, occasionally bumping shoulders in the crowd. Each accidental touch felt deliberate, charged with the awareness they'd acknowledged. I have another show the day after tomorrow, Lily said. Will you be there? I'm assigned to it, yes. Designer Park's collection. So we'll see each other professionally. Yes. He glanced at her. I'll be professional. Even if it kills me. She laughed despite herself. That's very dramatic. You haven't seen how distracting you are when you walk. But his tone was teasing, not inappropriate. When they reached her hotel, they stood in the glow of the entrance, neither quite ready to say goodbye. Thank you for coffee, Lily said. And for understanding about David. Thank you for your honesty. Hyun-woo bowed slightly, formal and respectful. Sleep well, Lily. She watched him walk away, hands in his pockets, shoulders relaxed. He looked back once, caught her still watching, and smiled before disappearing around a corner. In her room, Lily's phone showed 3 missed calls from David and a text, "Everything okay? You're being quiet." She called him back, guilt gnawing at her. "Sorry, I was out exploring the city." "Alone?" The question had an edge. "With someone from the show?" "Just grabbing coffee." "Male or female?" "Does it matter?" "Lily." David's voice tightened. "You're in a foreign country. I just want to make sure you're safe." But it wasn't about safety, she knew. It was about control, about ownership. 2 years together and this was familiar, his need to track her movements, to know who she was with, to frame surveillance as care. "I'm fine, David. I'm an adult." They argued for 20 minutes, familiar circular patterns, him accusing her of being distant, her defending her independence, both of them too stubborn to back down. When they finally hung up, Lily felt exhausted. A text came through from Hyun Woo. "I hope you got back safely. Thank you for today." Simple. Sweet. No demands, no accusations. Lily saved his number under a heart emoji she immediately deleted and replaced with just his name. She was in dangerous territory, she knew. But for the first time in months, she felt seen. Not as David's girlfriend or as a model walking runways, but as herself, complex, conflicted, human. She fell asleep with the bracelet Hyun Woo didn't know he'd inspired her to buy from a market stall, a simple blue thread wound around her wrist. 2 weeks suddenly felt both too long and not nearly long enough. The next show brought them together again, but this time they were prepared for it. Lily stood backstage in Designer Park's avant-garde creation, a structured piece in deep burgundy with origami-like folds that created dramatic angles across her body. It was beautiful but complex, requiring careful dressing to maintain the sculptural integrity. Hyun Woo was assigned to her fitting, and they both felt the weight of eyes on them. Other stylists, models, assistants who sensed the energy between them even if they couldn't name it. "Arms up," he instructed, "all business." She complied, and he slipped the garment over her head with practiced ease. His fingers worked quickly, fastening hidden hooks, adjusting fabric, ensuring every fold lay perfectly. He was scrupulously professional. No lingering touches, no loaded glances, nothing that could be misinterpreted. But Lily felt the tension anyway. In the careful space he maintained between their bodies. In the controlled precision of his movements. In the way he kept his eyes focused on the garment rather than on her. "How does it feel?" he asked, stepping back to assess. "Restrictive," she admitted. "But I can move." "Show me your walk." She moved across the backstage area, and Hyun Woo watched with a critical eye. When she returned, he made a small adjustment to the shoulder, his fingers quick and impersonal. "Perfect," he said. "You're ready." "Thank you." Their eyes met briefly, and she saw her own restraint reflected back at her. The show went flawlessly. Afterward, as models changed and the backstage chaos wound down, Hyun Woo appeared at her station with a garment bag. "Designer Park wants to gift you the burgundy piece," he said. "For wearing it so well." "Really?" Lily's eyes widened. Designer pieces weren't typically gifted to models unless they were already celebrity status. "Really?" She was impressed. He handed her the bag. "You earned it." Their fingers brushed during the exchange, and electricity sparked through the contact. Hyun Woo pulled back immediately, professional mask firmly in place. "Coffee tomorrow?" he asked quietly. "I can't. I have a video call scheduled with David." She saw something flicker in his eyes, disappointment, maybe relief. "The day after." "The day after," he confirmed. The video call with David started badly and got worse. He looked tired on her laptop screen, shirt rumpled, backdrop showing their shared apartment in Lagos. But his first words weren't about missing her or asking about the show. "Who were you with last night?" he asked. "I called 3 times. I was at dinner with some other models. My phone was in my bag." The lie came easily, and she hated herself for it. She'd actually been exploring Bukhan Hanok village alone, needing space to think. "You're being distant, Lily. Ever since you got to Seoul." "I'm working, David." Fashion Week is exhausting. Is there someone else? The question hung between them, accusation wrapped in insecurity. Lily thought about Hyun Woo, the coffee dates, the careful friendship, the attraction they both acknowledged but didn't act on. No, she said, and it was technically true. Nothing had happened. Nothing but feeling seen and understood in ways she hadn't felt in years. Because if there is, you need to tell me. I can't do this long-distance thing if you're not committed. I'm committed to you, David. But even as she said it, she wondered if it was true. They talked for another hour, his complaints about her distance, her defensiveness, both of them too proud to admit the relationship had been fracturing long before Seoul. When she finally closed her laptop, Lily felt hollowed out. A text from Hyun Woo appeared. How are you? Just 2 words, but they felt like a lifeline. Tired. Complicated day. Want to talk about it? She did. Desperately. But that felt like a betrayal in itself, turning to another man for comfort when her boyfriend had just accused her of emotional infidelity. Not tonight. But thank you for asking. I'm here if you need me. No pressure. Lily stared at the message, at the careful consideration in it, the respect for her boundaries even as he offered support. David had never said no pressure. Everything with him came with expectations, obligations, the weight of 2 years invested. She fell asleep clutching her phone, caught between what was familiar and what felt right. 2 days later, she met Hyun Woo at a traditional tea house in Insadong. The low tables and floor cushions forced an intimacy she both craved and feared. You look sad, he observed once they'd settled with their tea. Boyfriend troubles, she admitted. He thinks I'm pulling away. Are you? Lily stirred honey into her tea, watching the amber liquid swirl. I don't know. Maybe I've been pulling away for a while and Seoul just made it obvious. Do you love him? The question was gentle, not confrontational. She considered it honestly. I love the life we built. I love the idea of him, stable, supportive, the man my parents adore. But do I love him? She looked up at Hyun Woo. I'm not sure anymore. And that makes me feel terrible. Why terrible? People grow apart. It's natural. Because he's a good man who doesn't deserve to be the placeholder while I figure out what I actually want. She sipped her tea. And because part of what I want is sitting across from me, and that feels like emotional cheating. Hyun Woo was quiet for a long moment. I won't pretend I'm not happy to hear you say that. But Lily, I don't want to be the reason your relationship ends. That's not fair to anyone. Not to David, not to you, and honestly, not to me. I want to know that if you choose me, it's because you want to, not because you're running from something else. The maturity of his response made her chest ache. How are you so wise about this? I'm not. I'm terrified actually. His smile was rueful. I'm falling for someone who lives on another continent and is committed to someone else. But I'd rather fall honestly than manipulate circumstances to my advantage. You're falling for me. The words came out whisper soft. Yes. No hesitation, no games. Is that okay to say? It's terrifying to hear. And also. She met his eyes. Also something I needed to know. They sat in that acknowledgement, the tea house quiet around them. Other patrons spoke in hushed voices, but Lily felt like she and Hyun Woo existed in their own bubble, removed from the world. I have 1 week left in Seoul, she said finally. Can we just be? Not deciding anything, not defining anything, just existing in whatever this is. And then I go back to Lagos and figure out my life. What I want, what I need, what's fair to everyone involved. Including yourself. He reached across the table, stopping just short of touching her hand. You matter too, Lily. What you want matters. I'm not used to that being the priority. Maybe it should be. They spent the rest of the afternoon talking about lighter things, his childhood in Busan, her sisters in Lagos, favorite books and movies and the small details that make up a life. But underneath every word was the awareness of their confession, the admission of feelings that couldn't be taken back. When they parted outside the tea house, Hyun Woo bowed formally, respectfully. No hug, No kiss, nothing that crossed the lines they'd established. But as Lily walked away, she felt his eyes on her back, the same way she'd felt them during the zipper incident, during fittings, during every moment they'd shared. She was falling too. And she had no idea how to stop. Lily's final show in Seoul was designer Kim's closing presentation, a full collection showcase that would feature the emerald dress from the zipper incident alongside 15 other pieces. The pressure was enormous. International press, buyers from major fashion houses, celebrities in the front row. This wasn't just about walking well, it was about embodying a designer's vision on the biggest stage of Fashion Week. Backstage, the energy crackled with anxiety. Models touched up makeup with shaking hands, designers made frantic last-minute adjustments, and the stage manager's countdown echoed like a death knell. Lily stood in her first outfit, a structured cream blazer over wide-leg trousers, trying to center herself. But her mind kept drifting to Hyun Woo, somewhere in the chaos, preparing garments and solving problems. They'd seen each other twice more since the tea house, once for a late dinner after a show, once for a walk through Seoul Forest where they'd talked for hours without running out of things to say. Each meeting had deepened the connection, intensified the longing. And tonight was her last night in Seoul. Lily, you're up in 3. A production assistant grabbed her arm, propelling her toward the lineup. She walked, changed, walked again. The shows blurred together, lights and music and the focused energy of performance. But she was hyper-aware that each walk brought her closer to the end, to leaving Seoul and Hyun Woo behind. The emerald dress came last. When Hyun Woo appeared to help her into it, their eyes met with the weight of everything unsaid. "One more time," he said quietly, reaching for the zipper. "One more time." This time, the zipper slid smoothly up her spine. No catching, no crisis. His fingers were steady as they fastened the closure, professional and careful. But when he stepped back to assess the fit, she saw the longing in his eyes, the same longing she felt. "You look perfect," he whispered. Hyun Woo. Lily. Final walk. Now. She had no choice but to turn away, to step into the lights one last time. The emerald dress flowed around her like water, every sequin catching light, and she walked with all the emotion she couldn't speak, the confusion, the desire, the grief of ending before they'd barely begun. The crowd erupted. Designer Kim took her bow, pulled Lily forward for recognition, and the applause crashed over them like waves. But all Lily could think about was the man backstage, watching her walk away. The after-party was at a trendy club in Gangnam. Champagne flowing, music pounding, fashion industry elite celebrating another successful fashion week. Lily should have been euphoric. She'd booked 3 major shows, earned designer Park's gifted piece, made connections that could transform her career. Instead, she felt hollowed out. She found Hyun Woo on the club's outdoor terrace, alone, staring at Seoul's glittering skyline. "Not a party person?" she asked, stepping beside him. "Not tonight." He glanced at her, still stunning in the emerald dress she hadn't changed out of. "You were incredible. Every single walk." "Thank you." She gripped the terrace railing. "This is my last night." "I know. I fly out at noon tomorrow." "I know that too." The music from inside pulsed through the walls, but out here the air was crisp, clear. Other partygoers drifted past, too drunk or too absorbed in their own conversations to notice 2 people standing in weighted silence. "Lily." Hyun Woo turned to face her fully. "I need to say something, and then I'll respect whatever you decide. But I can't let you leave without being completely honest." Her heart Hammir. Continue. 8:27. "Okay. I'm in love with you." The words came out firm, certain. "I know it's fast, I know it's complicated, I know you have a whole life in Lagos. But I've spent 2 weeks getting to know you, really know you, and everything I've learned has made me more certain. You're kind, funny, talented, honest. You see people. You make me want to be better." Tears pricked Lily's eyes. "Hyun Woo. I'm not asking you to say it back. I'm not asking you to leave David or upend your life. I just need you to know that what I feel is real. That this wasn't just Fashion Week romance or temporary attraction. It's real for me." The intensity in his gaze made her breath catch. Around them, Seoul hummed with life, millions of people living their own stories, pursuing their own desires. But in this moment, on this terrace, there was only the two of them and the truth hanging between them. "It's real for me too," Lily whispered. "That's what makes this so hard." "Then stay." The words broke from him desperately. "Or let me come to Lagos. Or we'll figure out long distance. There has to be a way." "I can't." The words tasted like ash. "I can't start something with you while I'm still with David. It's not fair to anyone, especially not to us. We deserve better than beginning from betrayal. So end it with him." Just like that. Lily's laugh was bitter. "End a 2-year relationship over the phone because I fell for someone in Seoul? If it's already over, does the location of the ending matter?" The question cut deep because it was valid. Her relationship with David had been failing for months. She'd known it, felt it in every conversation that left her drained rather than filled. Seoul hadn't created the problem. It had just forced her to confront it. "I need to do this right," she said finally. "I need to go home, talk to David face to face, figure out what I actually want without you as a factor. That's the only fair way. And if you decide you want the stable life in Lagos, the civil engineer boyfriend and the future your parents planned, then you deserve someone who chooses you without hesitation." She touched his face gently, and he leaned into her palm. "But Hyun-woo, I don't think that's what I'm going to choose." Hope flared in his eyes. "No. No." She smiled through tears. "I think I'm going to choose the wardrobe stylist who sees me as more than beautiful, who respects my boundaries even when it hurts him, who makes me feel brave enough to want more than what's expected." "Lily," he stepped closer, and she could smell his cologne, feel his warmth. "But I need to be single first. Completely, honestly single. Can you wait for that?" "How long?" "I don't know. A month. 2. However long it takes me to end things properly and figure out what comes next." Hyun-woo was quiet, visibly wrestling with the timeline. Then, "Okay. I'll wait. But Lily, promise me you'll actually think about what you want. Not what David wants or your parents want or what makes logical sense. What you want." "I promise." They stood close enough to kiss, would have kissed, in any other circumstance, in any other version of this story. But Lily held back, and Hyun-woo respected the boundary. "Can I hug you?" he asked quietly. "Please." He pulled her close, and Lily melted into his embrace. He was solid, warm, real, everything she hadn't known she'd been missing. She breathed him in, memorizing the feeling of being held by someone who saw all of her. "I'll miss you," she whispered against his chest. "I'll miss you too." He pressed his lips to the top of her head, not quite a kiss, but close. "Go home. Do what you need to do. And then we'll see." "And then we'll see," he echoed. They stayed like that for a long time, holding each other on a terrace in Seoul, while inside the party raged and above them stars tried to shine through the city lights. When they finally pulled apart, both had tears on their faces. "Goodbye, Hyun-woo." "Not goodbye." He wiped her cheek gently. "See you later." Lily walked back into the party alone, the emerald dress suddenly feeling too heavy, too reminiscent of how all of this began. She found designer Kim, made her gracious goodbyes, and escaped to her hotel. The flight information on her phone glowed accusingly. Lagos, noon departure. She was going home. But home suddenly felt like a place she was leaving behind rather than returning to. The Lagos heat hit Lily like a wall when she stepped out of Murtala Mohammed Airport. After 2 weeks in Seoul's crisp winter air, Nigeria's humidity felt oppressive, clinging to her skin like a second layer. But it was familiar too, the chaos of Lagos traffic, the sound of pidgin English mixing with Yoruba, the smell of suya from roadside vendors. Home. David was waiting at arrivals, holding a bouquet of roses and wearing the smile that had first made her say yes to coffee 3 years ago. When he saw her, his face lit up, and Lily felt a stab of guilt so sharp it nearly took her breath away. "There's my supermodel." He pulled her into a hug, roses crushed between them. "God, I missed you." I missed you too, she said, and wondered if it was true. The drive to their apartment in Victoria Island was filled with David's chatter, work updates, gossip about mutual friends, plans for dinner with her parents tomorrow. Lily listened, responded appropriately, but part of her mind stayed in Seoul, on a terrace overlooking the city, in Hyun-woo's arms. You're quiet, David observed, glancing at her. Jet lag. Yeah. It's brutal. Their apartment looked exactly as she'd left it. Modern furniture her parents had helped them buy, photos of them at various events dotting the walls, everything neat and coordinated in a way that had once felt like achievement but now felt sterile. I'll make dinner, David announced, heading to the kitchen. You rest. We can catch up properly later. Lily escaped to the bedroom, closing the door with relief. Her phone showed 3 messages from Hyun-woo. Did you land safely? No pressure to respond. Just want to know you're okay. Thinking of you. She typed. Landed. Safe. This is harder than I thought it would be. His response came immediately. I know. Take your time. I'm here. That night, she went through the motions, ate David's pasta, watched a movie curled on the couch, listened to him talk about an upcoming project. Was attentive, affectionate, the perfect boyfriend welcoming his girlfriend home. But all Lily could think about was how to end it. When to end it. How to explain that Seoul had changed something fundamental about what she wanted. 3 days later, Lily stopped by Amora's apartment unannounced. Amora had been her best friend since secondary school, the person who knew all her secrets, who'd helped her through her mother's cancer scare, who'd been maid of honor at the wedding Lily had once imagined having with David. But when Amora answered the door, something was off. Her best friend's eyes widened with what looked like fear, and she blocked the doorway rather than inviting Lily in. Lily, you're back. I thought you were coming tomorrow. I wanted to surprise you. Lily frowned. Can I come in? Actually, now's not a great time. A male voice called from inside. Babe, who is it? Lily's blood went cold. She knew that voice. She pushed past Amora, and the scene that greeted her was something from a nightmare. David, shirtless, emerging from Amora's bedroom. The shock on his face mirrored what Lily felt, absolute, devastating betrayal. Lily, David froze. This isn't. How long? Her voice came out eerily calm. Amora stepped forward, tears already streaming. Lily, please, let me explain. How long? David had the decency to look ashamed. 6 months. It just happened. 6 months. Half of the time Lily had been faithful, had been agonizing over her feelings for Hyun-woo, had been feeling guilty about emotional intimacy with another man. And David had been sleeping with her best friend. 6 months, she repeated numbly. You've been sleeping with my best friend for 6 months, and you had the audacity to accuse me of pulling away. You were pulling away. You've been distant for a year. David's defensiveness kicked in. What was I supposed to do? Not fuck my best friend. The scream tore from her throat. Not lie to me every single day while making me feel crazy for wanting independence. Amora sobbed. I'm so sorry. We never meant to hurt you. But you did. Both of you. Lily looked between them. 2 people she'd loved, trusted, built her life around. Were you together when I called from Seoul? When I was agonizing over having coffee with someone because I thought it was emotional cheating? David had the grace to look away. Sometimes. The betrayal crashed over her in waves. Every video call where he'd accused her of being distant. Every time she'd felt guilty about her growing feelings for Hyun-woo. Every moment of self-doubt about whether she was being unfair to David. And he'd been with Amora the whole time. I'm done. Lily's voice was ice. We're done. Don't contact me. Don't come to the apartment. I'll pack your things and leave them with the concierge. Lily, wait, can't we talk about this? David reached for her. She jerked away. You forfeited the right to talk when you fucked my best friend. Repeatedly. For 6 months. She walked out of the apartment with her head high, made it down 3 floors, and then collapsed against the stairwell wall. The sobs came violently, not for David, she realized, but for the betrayal. For the wasted years. For the person she'd tried to be to make him happy. Her phone was in her hand before she registered, reaching for it. She dialed Hyun Woo's number through blurry tears, not caring that it was 3 a.m. in Seoul. He answered on the second ring. Lily. What's wrong? He was cheating on me. The words came out between sobs. For 6 months. With my best friend. I just walked in on them. Where are you right now? Are you safe? In a stairwell. I'm fine. I'm not fine. I don't know. She couldn't finish the sentence. Breathe for me. His voice was calm, grounding. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Can you do that? She tried, hiccuping through the breathing exercise while Hyun Woo counted her through it on the other end of the line. Good. That's good. Now, can you get somewhere safe? Your parents' house, maybe. I can't tell them yet. They love David. Then a hotel. Can you check into a hotel for tonight? Lily nodded, then remembered he couldn't see her. Yes. Okay. I can do that. I'm going to stay on the phone with you while you get there. Talk to me about anything. What you're seeing, what you're feeling, whatever you need. She stumbled through Lagos streets, grateful for the phone pressed to her ear, for Hyun Woo's voice anchoring her to something solid when everything else felt like quicksand. He stayed on the line for 3 hours, through her checking into a hotel, through her breakdown in the shower, through the long dark night when sleep wouldn't come. He told her stories about Seoul, about his childhood, about nothing and everything, just filling the silence so she wouldn't feel alone. I'm sorry, she whispered as dawn light crept through the hotel curtains. For calling in the middle of the night, for falling apart. Don't apologize. I'm glad you called me. His voice was rough with exhaustion. He'd stayed up all night with her. You deserve so much better than what he gave you, Lily. I hope you know that. I don't feel like I deserve anything right now. That's the betrayal talking. But Lily, this isn't your fault. None of it. He made choices. She made choices. Those choices say everything about who they are and nothing about your worth. She closed her eyes, letting his words sink in. Thank you. For answering. For staying. Always. Get some sleep. We'll talk more when you wake up. After they hung up, Lily stared at the ceiling, processing everything. The betrayal hurt, of course it did. But underneath the pain was something unexpected. Relief. She was free. No more guilt about her feelings for Hyun Woo. No more agonizing over whether to end things with David. The choice had been made for her. Brutally but definitively. Her phone buzzed. A text from Hyun Woo. You're going to be okay. I promise. And for the first time since walking into Amora's apartment, Lily believed it. 2 weeks passed in a blur of legal logistics and emotional devastation. Lily moved back to her parents' house, enduring their disappointment about the breakup while staying silent about David's infidelity. She couldn't bear their pity on top of everything else. She blocked both David and Amora on everything, ignored their attempts at contact, and focused on rebuilding. Hyun Woo texted every day, never pushing, never demanding, just checking in. Sometimes they talked for hours. Sometimes she just needed to know he was there. His patience, his steady presence, became the foundation she rebuilt herself on. On day 13, an email arrived from her modeling agency. Major opportunity. Designer Kim requests you for Seoul Fashion Week Spring campaign. 6-month contract starting next month. Interested? Lily stared at the email for a long time. 6 months in Seoul. 6 months away from Lagos, from the wreckage of her relationship, from pitying looks and awkward questions. 6 months with Hyun Woo. She called him immediately. Did you know about this? About what? He sounded genuinely confused. Designer Kim wants me for a 6-month campaign in Seoul. Silence. Then. No. I had no idea. But Lily, are you going to take it? Do you want me to? That's not fair. This has to be your decision. I know. But I'm asking anyway, do you want me to come back to Seoul? More than anything. His voice was raw with honesty. But only if it's what you want. Not because you're running from Lagos or because you think it's what I need. Because you want to. Lily thought about the question. What did she want? She wanted Seoul's energy, the fashion opportunities, the chance to build something on her own terms. She wanted to explore a city that had felt like potential, like possibility. She wanted Hyun-woo. I want to come back, she said firmly. Not to run away. To run toward something. Toward my career. Toward new experiences. Toward you. She could hear his smile through the phone. Then come home. Home. Seoul. It felt like home when you were here, didn't it? It had. More than Lagos ever had, even though she'd been born here. Seoul had felt like a place where she could be anyone. Could become anyone. I'll take the contract, Lily decided. I fly out in 3 weeks. 3 weeks, Hyun-woo repeated, and she heard the joy in his voice. I'll be waiting. After they hung up, Lily responded to her agency's email with a single word. Yes. She was going back to Seoul. Not as someone running from betrayal, but as someone brave enough to choose what she wanted. And what she wanted was waiting for her, on the other side of the world. 3 weeks later, Lily stepped into Incheon International Airport with 2 suitcases, a 6-month contract, and a heart full of nervous anticipation. Seoul in spring was different from Seoul in winter. Warmer, brighter, cherry blossoms painting the city in shades of pink and white. But more than the season had changed. Lily had changed. The woman who'd arrived for Fashion Week 2 months ago had been careful, contained, committed to a relationship that was already dying. The woman who stepped off the plane now was free, heartbroken but healing, ready to build something new. Hyun-woo was waiting at arrivals. When their eyes met across the crowd, Lily felt her breath catch. He looked exactly as she remembered. Dark hair, careful eyes, that slight smile that made her feel seen. But the way he was looking at her now was different. No professional restraint. No careful boundaries. Just pure, undilted joy. She walked toward him, and he met her halfway. Hi, she said, suddenly shy. Hi. He reached for her face, cupping her cheek gently. You're really here. I'm really here. And you're single. Completely, officially single. She covered his hand with hers. No complications. No boyfriend. Just me. Just you, he repeated, like a prayer. Can I kiss you? I've been waiting 2 months for you to ask. Hyun-woo kissed her in the middle of Incheon Airport, surrounded by strangers and rushing travelers, and Lily felt everything click into place. His lips were soft, tentative at first, then deeper as she pressed closer. It was a kiss that said finally and worth waiting for, and this is just the beginning. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. Welcome home, Hyun-woo whispered. Home, Lily echoed, and meant it. They took things slowly at first, dates at cafes and museums, walks through neighborhoods she hadn't explored during Fashion Week, long conversations about everything and nothing. Hyun-woo showed her Seoul through a resident's eyes, not a tourist's, and Lily fell in love with both the city and the man showing it to her. The campaign work was intense but rewarding. Designer Kim's vision pushed Lily creatively, and working closely with Hyun-woo, now officially as partners rather than professional colleagues, brought new dimensions to both their work and relationship. You're different when you're happy, he observed one evening, 3 weeks into her stay. They were in his apartment, cooking dinner together, the easy domesticity of it both thrilling and comfortable. Different how? Lighter. Like you're not carrying the weight of someone else's expectations. He stirred the soup while she chopped vegetables. I love watching you discover what you actually enjoy versus what you thought you should enjoy. Lily considered this. He was right. Without David's preferences shaping her choices, without the pressure of fitting into a prescribed role, she was finding herself. She liked spicy food more than mild. Preferred indie films to blockbusters. Wanted to explore rather than relax. I'm still figuring out who I am, she admitted. 24 years old and I feel like I'm just starting. That's not a bad thing. Hyun-woo tasted the soup, nodded in satisfaction. Most people never figure themselves out. You're ahead of the curve. Later, curled together on his couch, Lily felt a contentment she'd never experienced with David. This wasn't the comfortable familiarity of habit, It was the deep peace of being fully known and fully accepted. "Can I tell you something?" she asked, her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "Always. I used to think love was about fitting into someone's life, making yourself smaller so you didn't inconvenience them. But with you..." She looked up at him. "With you, I feel like I can be bigger, take up more space, want more things." His arms tightened around her. "You should always want more things. You should want everything. I want you. You have me." He kissed her forehead. "For as long as you want me. What if I want you forever? Then I guess we should start planning for forever." It was too soon to talk about forever, rationally. They'd known each other for 3 months, been officially together for 3 weeks. But when Lily looked at Hyun Woo, at the man who'd respected her boundaries and waited patiently and loved her through her worst heartbreak, forever didn't seem impulsive. It seemed inevitable. The 6-month contract flew by. Lily's career flourished, more campaigns, international attention, offers from designers in Paris and Milan. But Seoul remained her base, and Hyun Woo remained her anchor. They navigated the challenges of intercultural relationship, her learning Korean, him learning about Nigerian culture, both of them finding humor in misunderstandings and joy in discovery. Her parents eventually visited, initially skeptical of her Korean boyfriend but won over by his respectful nature and obvious devotion to their daughter. On the 6-month anniversary of her return to Seoul, Hyun Woo took Lily back to the venue where it all began, where a stuck zipper had led to lingering fingers and a note slipped into a bag. "Do you remember standing here?" he asked, positioning her in front of the same mirror where their eyes had first met with awareness. "How could I forget? The moment that started everything." "I was terrified," he admitted. "That I'd overstepped, that you'd report me, that I'd ruined everything by writing that note. Best risk you ever took. Best risk I ever took." He pulled something from his pocket, a small bracelet woven from emerald thread with silver beads. "I had this made for you. To match your dress. To remember where we started." Lily held out her wrist, and he fastened it beside the blue bracelet he'd bought her months ago. 2 bracelets, 2 beginnings, 1 tentative, 1 certain. "I love you," she said, the words coming easily now. "Completely, messily, inconveniently love you. Inconveniently." He laughed. "We live on different continents. We work in the same industry. We started when I was in a relationship. It's all very inconvenient. And yet I've never been more certain of anything." She touched his face. "Thank you for waiting. For respecting me. For seeing me. Thank you for coming back. For choosing this. For choosing us." They kissed in front of that mirror, the same one that had reflected their first charged glance, but now reflecting something deeper, not just attraction or possibility, but real, chosen love. Outside, Seoul hummed with its endless energy. Fashion Week preparations were beginning again, another cycle of creation and chaos. But for Lily and Hyun Woo, the chaos had settled into something beautiful. A love story that began with a stuck zipper and grew into something neither had expected but both had chosen. "So what happens now?" Lily asked, still wrapped in his arms. "Now we keep choosing each other. Every day, in every way." Hyun Woo smiled. "And maybe, eventually, we figure out how to make Seoul home for both of us. Permanently." "I'd like that." "Me too." They walked out of the venue hand in hand, ready for whatever came next. More campaigns, more challenges, more late-night conversations and stolen moments and the slow, steady building of a life together. The zipper had been stuck. The dress had been saved. And in the process, 2 people had found each other, not perfectly, not easily, but honestly and wholly. And that was the best beginning of all.